So what we're going to talk about today here, what I'm going to show you is who owns the Bitcoin right now. And again, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. And so I basically just scratched my own itch here. I wanted to find this information out myself. And so I did a little bit of digging yesterday and today and put together a little summary of who owns the Bitcoin right now and the percentages and what that could look like in 20 years from now. And the importance of just understanding how much influence we have here with this whole thing. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we do. And I'm going to get to why I say that. So let's start out. I got all this information from two sources here, two main sources. And the first one was from River. They have a really, really good summary here of who owns the most Bitcoin in 2024. So I highly encourage everybody to check out. There's a video here, but there's also just a full page of information. So this is where I got all the information from. So you can see it in graphic form, which is helpful to some. And then you can see all the rest of it too. So we're gonna come back to this. But the other one I used was bitcointreasuries.net. So this shows who owns what. This is a very, very good resource. I would bookmark this. This is actually from NVK, I believe, from CoinKite. He's put this together. So this is very up to date. I think it's continuously updated, but that's my two resources from what I'm talking about here, where they came from. So let's break this down a little bit here. Who owns what in Bitcoin currently? So we can see Coinbase has about 2.2 million Bitcoin. These are all just rounded. Some of them are exact, but most of them are just rounded for simplicity. So Coinbase has 2.2 million Bitcoin, which includes some of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin, and I think the majority of BlackRock's Bitcoin. This will go down over time as retail shows up, as MicroStrategy starts moving it to either self-custody or like a BNY Mellon for their custodian. This will go down. You can see Satoshi's wallet here, 968,000 Bitcoin. I thought it was 1.1 million for some reason, but I trust River more than my own brain. So 968,000 Bitcoin belongs to Satoshi, which I believe will never move. I believe that those keys have been burned, but either way, they're there. Binance owns 636,000. And then you can see, we can scroll down here. I'm not going to go through all these, but Grayscale, the US, Robinhood, a couple of big unknown wallets. One unknown wallet owns 78,000 Bitcoin. Another unknown wallet owns 73,000 Bitcoin. And I don't know if Jerry's listening now or if he's going to be listening to later, but he asked how many Bitcoin Mr. 100 owns, and it is 75,000. And then you got a few other public companies here like Marathon, like Riot, like Tesla. Coinbase owns 9,000 themselves. Those 2.2 million are for, obviously, their customers own them, right? But they own 9,000 themselves. And then CleanSpark, Hut 8, Block, and SpaceX. I didn't know SpaceX owned this much Bitcoin. That's kind of cool. That was interesting to me. I did not know that SpaceX had this much Bitcoin. And I think I missed one too. Where was, oh no, Tesla has 10,000. So that's like the holders of them. That's governments, that's public companies, that's private companies, unknown wallets. That's kind of the breakdown of that. So this is what it looks like right now. So this is before strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is where everything stands right now. So we got public companies who hold 576,000 Bitcoin for a total of 2.7%. We have the ETFs who own 1.2 million Bitcoin, or their customers do, I guess, but the ETFs, there's that much Bitcoin within the ETFs, 6.6%. DeFi, where's BlackRock on here? How much do they own? Oh, they're not even on there. I must have missed them. I think they're close to who? Who are they close to? I think they have less than 10,000 Bitcoin, BlackRock themselves. But anyways, the DeFi, so that's like the wrapped Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin on layer twos like Lightning and Liquid. They own 148,000 Bitcoin for less than 1%. Private companies, they own 408,000 Bitcoin for just under 2%. And governments own 513,000 Bitcoin for a total of 2.4%. So that's where it stands today. So the big boys essentially own about 14% of the Bitcoin. Pretty good, honestly, pretty good. And then we have individuals. Look at this. We have 14.6 million Bitcoin are owned by individuals for a total of 70%, 69. Nice. 69.95%. And we got lost coins estimated. I should add that in there because this is definitely not an exact amount of 1.5 million, worth 7% of the coins are lost. Estimated. I think it's more than that. But either way, it would be between these. So lost coins and individuals make up for a total of 77% of Bitcoin. And then finally, you have the Bitcoin that's yet to be mined, 1.2 million, 5% of it left over the next 100 years. So that's what it looks like today. If we fast forward here, if you think about this, if you just thought about this before we look at the next part, how do you think that this is going to shift here in the next little while? Do you think that these holdings will go down? And if you answered no to that, where are they going to come from? Individuals, lost coins, or to be mined? I would say that the majority will come from the ones that are yet to be mined. I would say that probably 90% of the coins to be mined will go to these boys, the big boys, and the rest will come from the individuals. So this is kind of my estimate of what things could look like, how this will shift over the next 25 years here. I estimated that public companies will increase by about 500,000 Bitcoin. Saylor's going to be sinking 42 billion into that, so he's included in this. Plus all of the other companies like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, they still need to buy Bitcoin. So I'm allocating 500,000 Bitcoin to them. I think that could be high, that could be low, but I think that that's just my best bet. The ETFs, I gave them an extra 700,000 because they're well ahead of the public companies already, and I expected that to continue here. So I gave them a little bit more. I gave them 700 more thousand Bitcoin. DeFi, I'm going to just leave this the same. It's kind of irrelevant right now anyways, based on where we are. This will probably go up too as more and more people join the network, as more and more people are using the Lightning Network. This will probably go up too. And then we got private companies. Based on what they hold today compared to these other ones, I gave them an extra 200,000 Bitcoin. And governments, based on the US Strategic Reserve is going to take up half of this. So that's one country taking up half of this. I don't know if they'll ever get to 1 million. That's going to be their goal. But, a company or a country who can print money, a country who has unlimited resources, I think that they might do it. It might be difficult. It might shoot the price of Bitcoin up higher than we could even imagine, but I think they'll do it. So I gave governments and countries another 2 million coins here. Because you have to remember that the US is going to buy half of that. That's what they say. And then you still have China. You still have Russia. You still have India. You still have Japan. We still need Canada to get off of zero. You have France. You have Germany. Germany sold a lot of their coins already. But the Kingdom of Bhutan, like a country with 1 million people, is like the third highest holder right now. So I gave them 2 million extra coins here. They're going to have to fight to get those, but that's kind of a conservative guess, I think. So right now the big boys own 14%. I think over these next 25 years, it'll be closer to 30%. And this is kind of a crazy stat here. So I looked out 25 years to, hold on, I'm going to take this off here because I don't want to make you dizzy. But I'm going to show you, oh shit. I'm going to show you where this came from here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, what happened here? So you saw there, we went from 1.2 million coins left to be mined to 5,000. All right. So this is where we are today. We're in 2028 halving at 450 a day. So over these next 25 years here or so, there's going to be, no, it's the wrong one. 1.3 million. Because, well, I mean, we're already kind of in this one already. So some of these coins have already been mined. But 1.3 million from now until 2056, 1.3 million Bitcoin will be mined. Leaving from 2060 to 2136, that leaves us with 5,132 Bitcoin to be mined. So let me just scroll down to the bottom here now. There we go. I should have just done that at the start. So that's what it looks like. At this point in 25 years from now, there's only going to be 5,000 coins that are yet to be mined. And that the majority of those are going to flow into there. But where's the rest of it going to come from? Individuals. I think that this will probably, I should have increased this as well, because the amount of lost coins is definitely not going to get smaller. It's definitely going to get higher. As more and more people who are here today holding significant amount of Bitcoin or buying significant amount of Bitcoin, there's going to be some lost coins in that for sure. Whether by human error, whether by, something happens, something goes wrong, this number will go up. I didn't factor that in. But all of these coins that increase here are going to have to come from individuals. And so let me go to this river one, because I think that this is an important thing to talk about here. Because if you look at the Bitcoin distribution here, this is what it looks like as of November 2024. And you can see that the balances of 0 to, let's go to 0 to 10 million sats. That's about, how much percent of Bitcoin is? That's 1%. So from 0 to 10 million sats, that's only 1.39% of Bitcoin. So that's the people who, their friends, their family told them to buy $500 worth of Bitcoin or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. That's them. That's 1.39%. They don't have any sort of real conviction over Bitcoin. And probably all of that is either going to go to us or the big boys. So I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about the people who don't have conviction over Bitcoin. They're going to sell when the price goes up. They're pretty much irrelevant at this point. And it's kind of shitty to say that. It sucks to say that, but it's the truth. But then you look at here, 10 million sats to 10 Bitcoin. That makes up 16% of Bitcoin. In that range right there. And I would say that there's probably going to be some longer term hodlers in there, but those are the people who believe in Bitcoin. Those are the people who have conviction around Bitcoin. So that's 17% or 16% of Bitcoin right now belong to people who have between 10 million sats and 10 Bitcoin. So what does that mean for us? That means that these coins are going to have to come from somewhere in order for these public companies, for MicroStrategy to get more, for BlackRock to get more, for the US government to get more. That's all going to have to flow from these individuals, because the majority of these are never going down, right? That's one thing we have to keep in mind here. This is a completely different dynamic from last halving cycle. These numbers are not going to go down. They're only going to go up. And these coins are going to sit here for a very long time. So the only place that these can come from are the miners and individuals. And the miners can only give them, they need, based on this analysis here, they need 16% more Bitcoin, and the miners can only give them 4% of that. Sorry, 5% of that. So what's the moral here? Number one, the longer you hold on to your Bitcoin, because we've just come to the realization that these companies, these governments, public and private companies, ETFs, the only way they're going to get Bitcoin now pretty much is from us. And so the longer you wait, the longer you hold on to this Bitcoin, the more they're going to pay for it because they need it. It's not a matter of if they're going to want it. They're going to need this Bitcoin. So the longer you hold on to this, the more they're going to pay for it. Moral number 2, never, ever, ever sell your Bitcoin. Lend against it. Do not, in your long-term plans, in your Bitcoin strategy, do not ever plan to sell your Bitcoin, at least 90% of it. If we can all hold on to 90 to 95% of our Bitcoin, use the other, buy a few things with it, send some on Nostr, send some on Zapstream, but 90 to 95% of it, hold on to it forever and just be patient, because I know there's not a whole lot of options in terms of lending against your Bitcoin today, but fast forward a couple of years from now and there's going to be more than we need probably. And moral number 3, I was going to title it this today, the show, but I went for the conservative naming, make them pay for your Bitcoin. But you can see the bold here, make these fuckers pay. We have to take this stuff seriously. We have to understand where we are here, and we have to understand the dynamic of the situation right now, because we're sitting pretty good there. We're sitting pretty damn good right now with individuals and lost coins at 75% of total Bitcoin held. And we know that addresses or Bitcoin holders with less than 10 million sats only make up 1% of that. So it's you, it's me. This is who's going to decide the dynamic over these next 100 years here. It's going to be us. And we have to be aware of that, because these governments know that, these corporations know that. They know that there's only so many Bitcoin out there and that has to come from somewhere. And so what they're going to do is they're going to absolutely run up the price of Bitcoin, and everybody's going to be tempted to sell. But we cannot sell them the Bitcoin. We cannot. And the longer you wait, the longer you hold on to it, or if you keep it forever, they're just going to have to pay more and more for it. So the longer you wait, the more rich you become, the more wealthy you become. It's pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. So I thought that was very interesting. I really wanted to see that myself. I want to look at the whole thing, what the dynamic is right now and what it could look like. So what I would suggest, like for us, I mean, actionable items, just understand where we are, understand how much influence you hold, understand how important this is to keep Bitcoin in the hands of us versus public companies, ETFs, governments. That's the goal here. And again, the longer we wait, the more it's going to be worth. So just be aware of that. Be aware of that. And, I'm going to clip this probably, and consider sharing this with any friends and family who are interested in Bitcoin. I think this will really give them a good understanding of just how scarce Bitcoin is and how in demand Bitcoin is going to be, and therefore how high the price of Bitcoin is going to be in a couple of years from now.